What's up, everybody? It's Skip, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to play a little hand-shedding card game called 5-3-5. This game can be played with 2 to 6 players, but today I'm going to be teaching you how to play the 2-player rule set. So, let's go! Out of the box, you'll get a deck of 65 weather cards numbered 1 through 15. Notice that the 6s and the 10s are omitted. You're going to get 6 sets of reference cards, 1 for each potential player. And you're going to get a bunch of point chips. Let's get into the setup. There are 5 copies of each card in the deck, but for a 2-player game, you will only need 4. So put the extras away back in the box. Setup for a 2-player game is special. Each player is going to be dealt 2 hands, and there are 12 cards in each hand. Without peeking, each player chooses 1 hand to pick up. This hand will be used to play the first half of the game. The other hand is set aside, and it will be used for the second half of the game. The dealer gets to go first and lead the first trick. A player may lead with a single, a set of 2 or 3 identical numbers, or a run, which is made of 2 or 3 cards in sequential order. Now the opposite player gets to take their turn, and they have a few options to pick from. The first is called Overwriting. To overwrite, players must play a meld of the same type and size, but of a greater strength than the one previously played. So a single 5, for example, could be overwritten by a single 7. A set of 3s could be overwritten by any set with a larger number. Now runs are a bit different though. When a run is played, ranking of the cards is reversed. So 1s become the most powerful card, and 15s become the least powerful. So this run of 13, 14, 15 can actually be beaten by a run composed of lower numbers, like 3, 4, and 5. The second option the opposite player has is called adding, and this means that a player adds 1, 2, or 3 cards to the single set or run that was played to lead the trick. There are 2 specific ways to add. A set or a run can be added to a single. So 2 more 7s could be added to the single 7 to form a set. Or an 8 and a 9 could be added to make a run. A single can be added to a run or a set. So if a set of 7s is played, 1 more 7 can be added. If a run of 2, 3, 4 is played, a 1 or a 5 can be added. Now, aside from these 2 main options, any other sort of adding is not allowed. The final option a player has is to pass. If they cannot or do not want to play to the trick, then they say pass, and the trick immediately ends. So, in summary, the first player leaves the trick. The opposite player can overwrite, add, or pass. And if they overwrite or add, play will just continue until the trick comes to an end, which can happen in a few ways. First, I already said, if a player passes, the trick ends immediately. The second way a trick ends is if all the cards of the same rank are in the central meld. So in this case, there are 4 of each rank. The next way that a trick can end is with a run of 5 cards. And finally, there is one more little special rule that affects how tricks can end, and it's called the rule of 8s. And this means when 1 or more 8s are used to overwrite or add, the trick is cleared immediately. Now, if an 8 is used in any way to lead the trick, nothing happens. It has no power under those circumstances. With all that in mind, whoever played cards to the trick last wins and gets to lead the next one. The round continues until one player empties their hand. The player with cards still in their possession immediately collects penalty point chips equal to the total value of their hand. This is based on the point value of each of their remaining cards. After doing so, that same person places their remaining cards next to their point chips. Those will be used to break any potential ties. Now, each player picks up their second hand and the second half of the game begins. The player with the points at the end of the first half leads. After the second half of the game, the player with cards remaining collects penalty points and places their remaining cards near their chips. The player with the fewest points wins the game. If there is a tie for points, the player with the fewest cards in their pile wins. And if there is still a tie, whoever emptied their hand during the second half of the game wins. And that's how to play the 2-player version of 5-3-5. This game is available now on Kickstarter. I'll put a link for that down below in the description. And as always, if it's your first time visiting the channel, be sure to subscribe so you're notified about new games every week. Until next time, keep on playing.